Right, so we're going to look at the stopping distances of cars now. So occasionally, when a car is driving down the road, they might spot a hazard, such as this person standing in front of this car. Or when they spot the hazard, they might need to apply the brakes and perform what's called an emergency stop. So an emergency stop is when the car needs to apply his brakes and come to a stop in the shortest possible distance. And this distance is what we call the stopping distance. Now, the stopping distance is going to depend on two factors. So the stopping distance will depend on both the thinking distance. So the thinking distance is how far the car travels whilst the driver is reacting to the hazard, plus the braking distance. Okay, so the braking distance is how far the car travels whilst it's braking. So whilst it's applying its brakes. So the total stopping distance is just how far the car travels whilst the driver is reacting to the hazard, plus how far the car travels whilst the car is braking. So let's have a look at some of the things that's going to affect this. Now, the thinking distance is going to be affected by mostly things to do with the driver. So often just the reaction time. Okay, so the reaction time. Okay, and the reaction time is going to be affected by things like maybe the driver is fatigued, maybe the driver is tired. Perhaps the driver has some alcohol in his system or her system. Or maybe drugs. Okay. Perhaps there's some distractions involved. Okay, like maybe a crying baby in the back seat, or maybe loud music, or the driver might be using their mobile phone. So all of these things are going to affect the driver's reaction time. Now, the car, the braking distance, is all factors to do with the car and the road surface. So maybe the road surface has lots of gravel on it. Maybe it's got an oil spill on it. These things are going to make the road more slippy, which is going to reduce the amount of friction between the car and the road, which will increase the braking distance. Maybe the tyres are worn. Perhaps the brakes are not very good. Okay, maybe the car has a lot of momentum. In other words, it's very heavy and it's going very fast. So its speed and the car's mass as well. Okay, heavier cars are harder to stop, as are faster cars. Maybe there's a lot of ice or water on the road. Okay, so the weather conditions can also affect it. Okay, so all of these things, actually I'm just going to go back to speed. So speed will also affect the thinking distance as well, because if the cars are going faster, it will move further whilst the driver is reacting as well. Okay, all of these things will affect it will affect this total stopping distance of the car. Okay, so that should have been a short one. I will see you in the next video.